Brent Venables' time at Clemson stands as one of the most defining chapters in modern college football, not simply because of the championships, the defensive dominance, or the unforgettable Saturday nights under the lights of Death Valley, but because of the way he reshaped the identity of a storied program through intensity, authenticity, and an almost obsessive commitment to excellence. Venables wasn't just a defensive coordinator. He was the heartbeat behind some of the fiercest defenses the ACC and the entire nation had ever seen. His name became inseparable from Clemson's rise, forever tied to an era that elevated the Tigers from respected competitors to a bona fide dynasty. And throughout the decade he spent at Clemson, Venables forged a legacy built not on flash or slogans, but on preparation, discipline, player development, and a relentless pursuit of perfection that pushed everyone around him to raise their standard. What he accomplished during that run didn't just change Clemson, it changed college football. The beauty of Venables' Clemson chapter is that it didn't begin with pomp or guaranteed success. When he arrived in 2012, Clemson was a program on the rise, but not yet feared. They had offensive stars, a passionate fan base, and potential, but what they lacked was a defensive identity strong enough to match the aspirations Dabo Swinney was building. Venables took that responsibility and approached it with a sense of purpose that would soon become legendary. He didn't come with shortcuts or excuses. Instead, he came with binders stacked with schemes, film study sessions that stretched late into the night, and an energy so explosive that players felt it in every meeting, every practice, every moment they were on the field. He wasn't just coaching, he was constructing a new mentality. His defensive playbook was a masterpiece of controlled chaos, built on aggression, speed, and adaptability. But it was his attitude, his unwillingness to accept anything less than total buy-in, that transformed Clemson into a defensive powerhouse. Venables built defenses that were unapologetically fierce, anchored by players who developed from raw athletes into polished stars under his direction. He had a rare ability to see potential where others saw question marks. Whether it was turning highly rated recruits into disciplined leaders or molding overlooked prospects into elite performers, Venables had a gift for unlocking greatness. Under his guidance, Clemson's defensive linemen became terrorizing forces, linebackers became field generals, and defensive backs evolved into disciplined enforcers capable of matching up with the most dangerous offenses in the country. His room wasn't just a meeting space. It was a laboratory where football IQ was sharpened, instincts were honed, and competitive fire was stoked until it burned hot enough to carry through entire seasons. From 2014 to 2021, Clemson consistently ranked among the nation's best defenses, statistically dominating opponents with suffocating pressure and sideline-to-sideline speed. Venables' schemes were equal parts brilliant and unpredictable. Quarterbacks often felt overwhelmed before the ball was even snapped, confused by pre-snap movement, betrayed by coverages that shifted seamlessly, and crushed by a front seven that seemed to generate pressure from every direction. His defenses didn't just stop teams, they dismantled them. They disrupted rhythm, imposed physicality, and forced opponents into mistakes. Clemson became known not only for its explosive offense, but also for its ruthless defensive identity. And Venables was the architect behind it all. The championship seasons further cemented Venables' legacy. Clemson's rise to the mountaintop didn't happen by accident. It happened because their defense, especially in the biggest moments, played with a level of discipline and fearlessness that separated good teams from great ones. In the 2016 and 2018 national championship runs, Venables' game plans became masterclasses in preparation and execution. He crafted strategies designed not merely to contain elite offenses, but to shut them down. His players trusted him completely because they knew he prepared them for everything, leaving no detail overlooked. The result was a defensive identity so strong that even powerhouse programs felt overwhelmed by the intensity Clemson brought to the biggest stages. Still, the statistics and championships only reveal part of Venables' impact. What truly defined his Clemson tenure was the unwavering consistency of his approach. Whether Clemson was winning by 50 or locked in a down-to-the-wire battle, Venables coached the same way, with urgency, with passion, and with a belief that every play mattered. His sideline intensity became a symbol of Clemson football, headset bouncing, eyes burning, every second spent fully absorbed in the task at hand. And while the world often saw the fire, his players saw the man who cared deeply for their success, their growth, and their futures beyond football. The loyalty he inspired was powerful. Players spoke about how he pushed them, not because he demanded perfection for himself, but because he believed they were capable of more than they imagined. Every player who came through his system left more disciplined, more confident, and more prepared for both football and life. Venables also shaped Clemson's identity through recruiting. He didn't simply seek talent. He sought toughness, intelligence, and character. His evaluations were precise, his development process meticulous, and his expectations sky-high. But players embraced that challenge because of the trust Venables built with them. He had a unique blend of intensity and empathy, a standard that never wavered, paired with a personal investment that made every player feel valued. Many recruits chose Clemson specifically because they wanted to play for him. That is the mark of a coach who doesn't just coach football, but who shapes men, builds culture, and fosters loyalty that lasts long after players leave campus. When Venables eventually left Clemson to become the head coach at Oklahoma, it wasn't the end of his story in Tiger lore. It was the beginning of a new chapter in a legacy already engraved in the program's foundation. Clemson fans didn't feel bitterness at his departure. They felt gratitude. They understood that his decade of service was transformative, that he gave everything he had to the program, that the championships and memories would never have been possible without him. Coaches come and go in college football, but the truly great ones leave something behind: identity, culture, a standard of excellence that lives on. That is exactly what Venables left at Clemson: a blueprint, a mentality, a defensive expectation that will shape the program for generations. Even today, Clemson fans speak of Venables with deep respect and affection. His name evokes images of elite defenses, unforgettable playoff moments, and the electricity he brought to every sideline as he poured his entire soul into every snap. They remember the trust he built, the players he developed, the defenses he weaponized, and the championships he helped secure. They remember that when Clemson needed a spark, a defensive general, a strategist, a motivator, he stepped into that role with unmatched passion and helped elevate the program to heights it had never before reached. His fingerprint remains on every accolade Clemson earned during his tenure, and it always will. Brent Venables' Clemson story is one of alignment between coach and culture, between talent and purpose, between preparation and greatness. It is a story of how a man with a relentless work ethic, an unshakable competitive spirit, and a deep love for the game helped shape one of the most dominant eras in college football. His contributions cannot be measured solely in trophies or rankings. They are woven into the very identity of the Clemson Tigers. He helped set a standard that will echo throughout the program for decades. And as college football continues to evolve, the impact he made during those years in Death Valley will remain a defining chapter in the history of a powerhouse built on passion, unity, and excellence. Thank you all so much for watching and for being part of this tribute celebrating the incredible Clemson career of Brent Venables. If you enjoyed this long-form story and want to hear more in-depth tributes to the coaches and athletes who shaped the game, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Your support helps these stories live on and keeps us celebrating the figures who made college football unforgettable.